So, we all know that I love to be real and raw. And I'm also a verbal processor, meaning that I need to talk through things in order to solve them or understand or get to the root or move forward, whatever. I verbally process things. And so I'll either talk with somebody, talk it out loud. I gotta talk it. But anyway, so let me set the scene. David and I hardly, if ever, have conflict. It's extremely rare within our relationship to have any sort of conflict. And today we have conflict. And there's a hot topic that we talk about between the two of us. We have very, different viewpoints and beliefs and opinions. And it's one of the topics that gets us kind of heated when we talk about it. And I don't have any problem with the fact that we have varying opinions or beliefs or sides, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. What caused me to be really triggered and upset and crying and having a hard time was I said, okay, I would like to say what I want to say, and I do not want to be interrupted while I am sharing my perspective and my beliefs. And I got a couple of sentences in, and he's interrupting me, and because he's so firm on his beliefs. And I immediately just got very emotional. And I need to walk every night after dinner. So I just went for my walk because it had felt so rude to be interrupted. And it hurt a lot, right? To be interrupted and, whatever, he's doing his thing. So what I want to share with you right now in this video is so many people, we all have stuff, okay? We all get triggered. We all have past traumas in our lives. We all have a lack of emotional regulation because it's just not something that is widely taught, especially if you were raised in, a traumatic environment, which I was. And normally in this situation, in the past, I would be so mad and angry at him, and I would, even say things like I'm leaving, or leave me, or throw insults, or say hurtful things. And I would just perpetually build a story in my head, about all the reasons that he sucks and all the reasons that I'm right, and all the reasons, that he hurt me, and all the things. And people, I don't operate that way anymore. And I always talk about how we are in control of our life and how we respond to situations. And people say, well, how do you respond? How do you, handle these things when they happen? And so I try to tell people, what to do and how to handle situations. But, it's always, right now it's real and it's raw and it's in the moment and it's happening. And these feelings are still swirling inside of me right now. And so I want to share with you how I do this, because it is so important for those of us who have come from traumatic backgrounds and we don't know how to process our feelings. We don't know how to shift our emotions. We don't know how to stop the stories. We don't know how to, stop the trauma drama triangle. And it's so important that we learn these things. So I'm going to share with you live in the moment how I'm managing this and how I'm dealing with this, because it's not really resolved. I sent him a text, and this is nothing to disparage, David in any form or fashion. But it's to show you that you're never going to not have conflict. There's never going to be a time where you're not triggered or bothered by something or someone, especially people who are close to you. And of course, I'm also pregnant right now with my hormones. And so how do we handle that when it happens? What do we do in that moment? How do we emotionally regulate? And that's not something that is taught to most of us. If you in a home that taught emotional regulations, you are blessed. If you were in a home where there was zero emotional regulation like me, then this is something you have to learn how to do, something that is so important to do if you want to have a joyful, happy life with successful relationships, okay? So anyway, and we're not resolved. In my mind right now, it's not resolved, right? He decided to go to Walmart, and I had sent him a text message explaining that I felt disrespected and that he was rude for interrupting me, cutting me off, not allowing me to talk or state my, expression of this opinion or whatever. And all he said was, okay. So this is still unresolved for me. And it hurts. And so this is what I do to emotionally regulate. And instead of falling into drama, I like to call it trauma, whatever. So trauma me in the past would have wrote stories about how awful and rude David is and how dare he say that to me and how dare he interrupt me and I can't believe he's treating me like that. And I would exaggerate and continually perpetuate a belief that he is awful, mean, bad, rude, whatever. And I would probably even go so far as, because I witnessed this with my own parents, I would even go so far as to, well, you should leave, get out of here, I don't want you here, or I'm going to leave, I don't want you here. I actually still have those feelings in my body. There's a big part of me that wants to pack everything up in the car and leave. Because that's what I watched my parents do all the time. But I can't even if I wanted to, because, I'm about to give birth. And that's it's an overreaction to what is happening. Him and I are just having, a heated conversation. We're both very passionate people, and so we're very passionate about our beliefs. And if I were to take him interrupting me and not allowing me to speak because he's so fucking passionate, and I've been that person before. I've interrupted people. I have, I've done what he's done to me, okay? So I'm not, this isn't again about him, this is about how I handle it, okay? And what I do when I'm triggered. And I want to share this with you real and raw in real time, so that when you are triggered, when you are going through, when your trauma gets poked or anything like that, that you have tools and you know what to do, so that you don't fall into the trauma triangle of wanting to pack your car and leave just because you had a heated argument, which is something that I want to do because it is something that I've witnessed my parents do repeatedly. I mean, every other weekend, if not every weekend, one of them they were screaming or fighting, and my stepmom would load her vehicle up and drive away and come back maybe a few days later or a few hours later. And it was just trauma. And I never saw anyone emotionally regulate. And I learned to emotionally suppress. And I've been going through, years of therapy and healing to be able to emotionally regulate so that I don't perpetuate those same behaviors in my household. And it's so important to me knowing that I'm about to have a baby I want her to grow up in a home of emotional regulation so that she can be in control of her reactions in her life. Because at the end of the day, no matter what is happening to us, no matter what is going on in the circumstances, we get to decide how we respond, how we act, how we feel. And initially, when we come from these places of trauma and we come from backgrounds, you know, I had a background of my father. His emotions were so big, so overwhelming, and he was the boss. And if he was unhappy, everyone was unhappy, and we all had to cater to him to make him happy. And we all had to suppress our emotions to keep him happy. And even what's also very triggering for me right now is he treated me daily how David just treated me right now in this one situation. And this is not a normal thing for us. Like I said at the beginning, it's very rare for there to be any conflict between David and I, which I just love so much. But for whatever reason, we had some today. And so I am coming from a space of understanding that I am triggered, understanding that my mind wants to exaggerate and there's a word for it, like explode. It's not explode, but it's like extrapolate. I don't know. I'm making this bigger than what it needs to be because I'm coming from so much trauma, because I'm coming from the history that I have, because I'm coming from the fact that my parents behaved in this manner. And I have the awareness now to understand that. And that, to me, required therapy. It required going through healing. I've done RTT, rapid transformation therapy. I've done regular talk therapy. I've done energy healing. I've done all kinds of things to bring into an awareness that how I respond in situations is determined by what I learned as a child. And that until I'm aware of how, until I have the working knowledge and awareness that I was, abused and traumatized as a child, the way that I continually respond to situation as an adult is going to continually be the abused child until I have an awareness of that. So one of the first things that happened, he in my mind, he was rude. I was talking, he interrupted me. I wasn't allowed to finish my thoughts. I had to say wasn't valuable or important to him. And I had to end the conversation because I was getting very hot and very heated. And I knew that it would just progressively get worse. So I got it from the table. I said, I'm going for my walk. And I went on my walk. Now, again, old me, pre-therapy, pre-healing, pre-understanding of emotional regulation would have built a story in my head, and perpetually thinking, oh my God, I can't believe he treated me this way. He's so rude to me. He was so awful. This is so bad. I can't be disrespected like this, and I'm about to have a daughter, and I don't want her to see disrespect like this, and this is so disrespectful, and this is so rude. And I would work myself up to even again wanting to leave, end the relationship type of leave, because that is what I witnessed and saw as a child. As soon as my parents had any amount of conflict, one of them was leaving. It happened at home. It happened at restaurants. It happened anywhere we could be. At any moment, our parents could explode into a conversation, into a conflict, and one of them would leave and take off and maybe take their children or not, because we're a blended family. So this is normal to me. This is normal to me. We have to understand that what we went through as children becomes normal, even if it's not normal. It is not normal to have that amount of conflict, publicly or indoors, between two people, to where a simple disagreement of politics, for whatever it may be. I remember one time my parents fought over pickles at a restaurant. Pickles at a restaurant was a reason that my stepmom stormed off and went off with her own kids. And our siblings and I mean, we were just like, what the hell, pickles? It was pickles. They were ready for a divorce over pickles. And this is something that happened constantly. So understanding that means that I understand that I don't know how to manage conflict. I don't know how to emotionally regulate. And my first instinct is going to want to be to run, to leave, and to threaten, just like I saw my parents threaten, to name call, just like I saw my parents name call. That's my normal operating procedures prior to going to therapy, doing healing, and understanding emotional regulation. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be perfect, or that my brain immediately knows oh, I'm just triggered. It's okay. I'm going to let this go, right? That doesn't work. Maybe one day, but here's what I did. Literally, I'm on a walk, and it was a 23-minute walk. And I'm doing it for the blood sugar and the pregnancy and all the things. And the whole walk, the entire walk in my head, instead of trying to build the story and create more conflict and be in the drama triangle, instead of that, I literally repeated a phrase to myself called the Ho'oponopono prayer. And it's a prayer, it's a Hawaiian prayer, and it's really is a blanket statement. You can use it for anything. In fact, there was a doctor at a psych ward hospital, and he would just say this Ho'oponopono prayer. He'd put his hand on the patient's file, and he would say the Ho'oponopono prayer. And he did it so often and so much that everyone had healing, and the hospital was shut down. There was no reason for it anymore. And that's the power of the Ho'oponopono prayer. And so I have learned that anytime I feel hurt or anytime I am angry, I will go to the Ho'oponopono prayer instead of going to the drama thoughts of, I can't believe he disrespected me, he's so rude, and I want to leave him, and I want to pack up my car, and I can't believe this is happening, and oh my God, and he's the worst ever. Those are the drama thoughts from my traumatized childhood. And instead of allowing those stories to build in my head and to circulate and to get worse and worse and worse, I broken record the Ho'oponopono prayer over and over again. So for the entire 23 minutes, I said it over and over and over and over and over again. And the Ho'oponopono prayer is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And this is a tactic that I've been using for a long time. So anytime, especially when it came to my adoptive daughter. So my adoptive daughter comes from a very traumatized background. Her and I ended up, so both of us, two very traumatized people in close quarters, doesn't always go very well. And I would use it with her. And I would say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. In my second marriage, we would have conflict. And instead of trying to build the stories and trying to be angry and keeping the drama triangle going, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. People who ask me, how did you shift? How do you begin to take control of your thoughts? And I'm like, I literally broken record myself a new thought pattern. It's not magic. It doesn't just happen overnight where you're like, oh, I'm in a trauma thought process and I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be totally fine because I understand trauma triangle. I get it. But it doesn't happen. You're going to have to use tools in the moment. You're going to have to use these tools when you're triggered. And I broken record myself all the time. And the Ho'oponopono prayer is one of my biggest ones, especially when I'm hurt or I'm angry. And it doesn't matter who I'm forgiving or who I'm saying I'm sorry to. It doesn't matter. It's for me. It's for them. It's for everyone. It's for the entire universe. But simply saying those statements over and over again do two things for me. One, it stops the intruding thoughts that want to perpetuate the drama. It stops the protruding thoughts that want to continue the trauma cycle, right? So again, my trauma cycle is building up a story about how awful, mean, and horrible he is, and then wanting to pack up my car and leave him, because these are the things I witnessed as a child between my parents. Whenever they had conflict, no emotional regulation and packing up the car to leave. And so it is one of my biggest instincts or inclinations when I'm in a conflict with my partner, whoever that may be, is that I want to pack up my car and leave and just end the relationship and just be done, because that's what I saw happen over and over again. So while on my walk, and the thoughts would try to come in, like, right, they would try, like, oh my God, he disrespected you so much, and you're about to have a daughter, and he can't disrespect a daughter, and all these things. And instead of allowing those thoughts to continue and perpetuate, instead of giving them airtime, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Literally on repeat, 24/7, while these feelings and emotions are circulating my body, and while I'm wanting to pack up my car and run away. That is what I do. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. It is something that I have learned to do, and it helps to calm me. It helps to avoid the story building and inducing more trauma. And it just provides healing, because the prayer itself is just extremely healing. It's extremely powerful and effective. So that's one thing that I did. And I'm still trying to, sort through these feelings. Even right now, he's texting me more evidence of his side of the perspective, and not acknowledging that I'm hurt, not acknowledging that it's not about our sides or our perspective. It's the fact that he interrupted me and didn't allow me to express my communication. So then that's the next thing. And I'm like, why do I feel this so deeply? Why does it immediately bring tears to my eyes? Why is this so hard for me? Like, it's, again, I have done what he has done when I am passionate. When I am on a topic that I feel so firmly about, I will interrupt people and I will share my side. And I'm like, but no, this is what's true. We are very similar to each other, very similar. And so if I have these behaviors myself, and I understand why I do them, but yet I build a case about how he's an evil monster for doing them to me, that's the drama triangle cycle. And so then I think about, well, why is this so impactful to me? Well, then I go back to my father. Until you fucking realize this, it is hard to make any changes. We are so impacted, conditioned, and programmed from our childhood. What we witnessed, what our parents did, what our parents said, how our parents treated us, how we saw our parents treat other people, how we saw adults interact, it all created a program in our minds about how to think, how to feel, how to operate, and we continue these belief systems today. Even if you think you're the opposite of your parents, you're the same. I've seen it within my own family, right? I see a mother who constantly criticizes her daughter, and then her daughter doesn't criticize her daughter, but she criticizes herself. She just continually criticizes herself. She's taking on the voice of her mother, and now that is the voice that she uses to herself. I see it happen. We have to understand that that everything about how we operate within our relationships, at our job, to ourselves, all comes from how we were raised, what we saw, and what we witnessed. And until we make peace with that and understand that, we can't move forward in the way that we want. So I'm here in a relationship with a man, and he, in this moment, cut me off, didn't allow me to say my point, and to me, so I feel like it was very rude, and it was very disrespectful. I feel disrespected, and I feel rude, and that he was rude. And it's hitting me very deeply, even though I myself engage in these same behaviors when I'm passionate. I can easily forgive myself for doing the same. Oh, I'm just so passionate. I'm so passionate when I'm talking. I got to say my thing. I've got to, whatever. So for me, what is being really triggered here is how it was with my father. My side my opinion, my beliefs, my voice was not welcome within the family. Okay? So I'm not allowed to speak up. I'm not allowed to say what I want to say. And then I was sent to boarding school where it was even 10 times worse. Like, at least with my parents, I could, even though my opinion, my beliefs, my voice was not accepted, and my parents would, send me to my room, or, my dad would dominate the conversation, or my stepmom would tell me to shut up or whatever, I could still have little ounces of rebellion. But when I went to boarding school, there was no back talk. There was no ability to talk at all. And I honestly, firmly believe, based on what I understand about energy and how things work, that is why and also understanding human design, is why I had thyroid cancer. So my ability to speak my truth, my ability to, express myself was taken from me so harshly that I got cancer in my throat, of all places. And it's so rare. It's so rare to have this type of cancer, especially as a 16-year-old. And I firmly believe it's because my voice was not allowed to be expressed, because I was so suppressed by the people around me. And I was in such a traumatic situation that my body produced this cancer around my throat, because it was like a physical representation of what was happening to me at an emotional and spiritual level, that my voice was not allowed to be heard. So this evening, when, again, we're so similar, he does a similar behavior to me, interrupt, I got to tell you my side, I got to make a point right now. It super triggers me, because that is a trigger to my childhood of not allowed to express myself, not being heard. My opinion doesn't matter. What I have to say doesn't matter. I'm not allowed to take up space. Every other opinion, especially my father's opinion, was the most important opinion, and it was all about what he had to say, what he was thinking, or whatever. So to me, this is an extra big trigger, okay? And we all have to kind of understand that some people are sensitive to certain things that someone else might not be, because of what they experienced in their childhood and how they were traumatized. So for me, because I've gone through so much therapy and the RTT and the healing, I have an awareness that there are certain things that happen that are going to impact me deeper than something else, right? Like, someone else could call me fat. It wouldn't faze me. I don't give a shit. You interrupt me, it messes with me at a whole other level, especially if you're someone that I love and trust, especially when I'm talking about something I'm passionate about, and I will interrupt you often. And so, again, this is a normal behavior and something that I myself even do, but it is hurting 10, 20 times worse. And I have to understand, it's not me right now that is hurting. It is the little kid in me that is hurting. We all have our inner child, our child who experiences these traumas when we were younger. And until we make peace, you know how like in like ghost movies, it's always like the person can't move on until they've, completed, like, what's that? Unfinished business. We have inner childs that have unfinished business. Okay, so even though we continue to grow and we're now adults as opposed to children, our childhood self suffered through immense amounts of trauma. Okay, and until we make peace with that and understand that and allow them to heal from that, we still feel it. So what I felt at dinner today with him interrupting me and not allowing me to finish my thoughts or express myself was not just me right now. It was the inner child me who was not allowed to express herself, have an opinion, or share anything, not just with my family, but also at the boarding school level. And then also, I just think as women in general, we are suppressed. We're not allowed to speak up or say we got to be quiet and we got to be gentle and we got to, be all these things. So it's a working understanding that it's not just what's happening right now that is causing me to feel this way. It is every time that I have been suppressed or interrupted by my father, or not allowed to speak, or not allowed to share my opinion. I'm feeling all of that in this moment. We have to understand that when we're triggered, we're being pulled back into the trauma. Okay, so when we see, and everyone has different triggers, okay? Everyone has something different based on what they've experienced in their traumatic background that will set them off. And it can be different things for different people. I mean, I even have a trigger about a lack of salad dressing. At the boarding school, if you misbehaved or whatever reason, if you used too much ranch, she would take ranch away. Like, you weren't allowed to use any salad dressing on your salad. And I am triggered by eating greens that don't have lettuce on, that don't have a salad dressing. I can't do it. It physically makes me ill. So like we all have random ass little triggers that come from our childhood, that come from our past experiences. So for me, the suppression of my thoughts and opinions and ideas is a big one for me, really big for me. Because I am a verbal processor. I need to speak things out loud. I need to say things out loud. And also, what I have to say, I want what I have to say to matter. That someone else cares about what I have to say. Especially a person I love and care about. So it's this awareness of understanding that what the pain I am feeling right now is not just from this evening, and is not just what happened between David and I. It is all the times in my childhood that I was not allowed to speak or express myself, or I was told to shut up, or, made to put in a situation where my thoughts and opinions don't matter. And then I can continue to actually say the hope and hope and no prayer. So I talked about that to stop the so earlier. I don't know if you're where you're catching in on this point, but again, when I first got triggered, I was in a drama trauma triangle of wanting to perpetually think negative thoughts, of wanting to talk about how awful and horrible David is for doing this, and how disrespectful it is, and how rude it is, and oh my God, he did this, and what am I going to do now? And I want to pack up my car and leave because this is what I witnessed as a child. Like, I say the hope and no prayer to stop those thoughts. And then once I calm down and I bring myself to a place of, okay, I've stopped the drama trauma thoughts, but I'm still just so here in this sadness right now. And I take the awareness of understanding that there is a little me who wasn't allowed to express herself. Whether that was 5-year-old me, 8-year-old me, 12-year-old me, 15-year-old me, probably all of them at some point was not allowed to express herself, was not allowed to speak up, was not allowed to share her opinion, was not allowed to take up any sort of space in the household. And I'm feeling all of those things right now. Every version of me who experienced that is feeling that. And it is coming out right now as this 35-year-old woman. And until we understand that, we're going to continually make the person who caused that feeling to be the enemy. David is not my enemy. He was passionate about his side, and he's passionate about his beliefs, and he just has to say what he wants to say. And I've totally been there. But because of my past traumas, I can immediately make him my enemy, and I can perpetuate that belief and build a story and create this to extrapolate. Is that the word? Like, I can explode this bigger than what it is because of my past traumas. And so we have to have an awareness of what our past traumas are so that we don't fall into that. And I need to plug my phone in because it's going to die soon. And this is, as Nancy says, the value of doing your own work. Yes. So again, I wanted to I gonna be able to get my cord? I wanted to, sorry, I don't know if you guys see it, my nose at this point, but I wanted to come on and share, oh, that's the wrong cord, that's why I'm struggling. I wanted to come on and share this with you now, literally in the middle of a trigger, literally in the middle of crying my eyes out. And I had a tough time. Like when he, like I said, he went off to Walmart. I couldn't even like really look at him. I couldn't engage with him. Like it was so painful because I'm feeling all the pain of all the little me's who have gone through this time and time again. And it hurts, but I have the, awareness of where it's coming from. And that's what helps me be able to move beyond it instead of making the situation just infinitely worse. Because again, what I saw in my past, any level of conflict my parents had, and it could be over anything, something as simple as fucking pickles at a restaurant. I don't even know, like how can pickles at a restaurant cause two people to scream and yell at each other in the restaurant with 5 kids, and one of them storms out? Like, how does that even happen? And that was something that was so commonplace. At any given moment, at any time, if my parents experienced any amount of conflict with one another, it could lead to that happening. An explosion, a blowout, screaming and yelling, didn't matter if we were in public or at home, and one of them would run off. And oftentimes I would see my stepmom packing up her entire car and saying she is leaving and saying she's moving out and that they're divorcing at just a flicker of a conflict, any level of a conflict. So because I saw that perpetually over and over again, and I understand trauma and healing, I know that I don't know how to manage conflict. I know how to explode with conflict like they did, and I have the desire to run away like they did. And when I have an awareness of these things, I have to do things to stop that thought process. I have to do things to bring myself back down to earth. And so, like I said, I do the Ho'oponopono prayer, and it works for anything and everything. You're feeling sad, you're feeling angry, you're upset, you're mad at someone, you're mad at yourself. Ho'oponopono prayer is a truly blanket statement, helps with any situation that you're not fond of, that you're having a hard time with. And it is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And it doesn't matter who you're saying it to or what you're saying it about, you're just saying it. And I believe it sends out healing waves to everyone in the universe when you say the Ho'oponopono prayer. And then it comes down to, and you may not be able to do this in the moment. So let me first start off with saying too that I wasn't always this good at managing this. And I wasn't always good at having an awareness of it. And I hope that I get even better one day. I feel like I'm still in the middle of it. But I do know that at the beginning, when I would have these levels of conflict, when I would get triggered like this, I would do those things. And I did those things in my second marriage. I would create him to be a monster. I would build a story. I would scream and yell. I never actually threatened to pack up my bags, but he did quite a bit. Not officially leaving, but I would leave. I would have to go somewhere else completely and I couldn't even, my skin would crawl if I was in the same house as him. And that again comes from the trauma of my childhood. So I wasn't always, it took some time for me to grab the awareness, right? So when you get caught up in that trauma, story building, this is, he's the worst, this is awful, how dare he do that? And then just building up this story and this case in your head, you won't always have the awareness to catch yourself. And sometimes you'll have to finish it out. You'll pack up your bags, you'll want to leave or whatever, or you'll call names or you'll say the worst things. And then afterwards you go, oh, I did it again. I did that thing again that I saw my parents do. And and I did it again, and I didn't stop myself, and I'm the worst person ever. No. It takes time to build the awareness of it. It takes time to catch yourself in the middle of it. It is so programmed. It is so strong within you. And it is so dominant to running your life. Only be able to reflect after it happens. It doesn't, you don't immediately get to fix it. I don't know if my internet's leaving, but it begins by having the awareness of it. And at first, the awareness will happen after the fact, okay? Just accept that. It's okay. You're going to go through the drama, trauma triangle of whatever it is for you. You're going to feel all the depths of the trigger. You're going to have a really hard time. And then after it passes, after it subsides, you'll go, shit, I did it again. And I didn't mean to. And you'll catch yourself a few times, maybe months, could be years, whatever. Everyone has their own journey. But eventually, the more you have an awareness of it, the more you reflect on it, you will begin to catch yourself. Sometimes you'll catch yourself at the beginning. Sometimes you'll catch yourself in the middle. Sometimes you'll catch yourself right at the end. But you begin to catch yourself. You say, I'm giving into these thoughts. I'm story building right now. I'm making this worse than what it is. And I just need to stop thinking. I'm going to start saying the Ho'oponopono. And you might say the Ho'oponopono 3 times, and then someone will say something, and you go right back into the conflict, and you're right back at it. And you didn't quite catch and stop yourself. You only caught yourself, but you weren't able to stop yourself. And that's okay. This is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Humble yourself. Humble yourself. This is such a crazy concept. We think that we're so... we think that it's overnight change. We think that things can just I understand trauma now, and I understand that when I get triggered, I'm in a trauma, and I can stop myself next time. No, humble yourself. You're not gonna be able to stop yourself next time. You're gonna only catch it after the fact, and that's okay. Okay, and then, but slowly, eventually, and maybe it's much more faster for you if you really work on the awareness of it, but you'll begin to catch yourself in the moment. Now, sometimes you'll catch yourself and you'll be able to stop. Sometimes you catch yourself and you can't stop. The train has gone too far. But eventually, over time, you'll begin to catch yourself as it's happening. You'll begin to catch yourself at the beginning, right? So over time, you get better and better with this. So then you catch yourself at the beginning. And eventually, hopefully, I hope to get to a place where I'm not even really triggered at all. That if someone interrupts me or is rude to me, I'm just like, okay, and not let it face me. But I at least have gotten to the point where I have the awareness of being triggered. I have the awareness that my mind is going to start building a story, and I implement things to stop it. So I implement the Ho'oponopono prayer. The intruding thoughts are coming in. The thoughts that want to build a story and a case to make the other person my enemy. I say the Ho'oponopono prayer on broken repeat to stop those thoughts. Once those thoughts have stopped, and I'm just back in my sadness, and then I say, where is this sadness coming from? The sadness is coming from the little you that wasn't allowed to express herself. It's coming from the little you that was told to shut up. It's coming from the little you whose voice was taken away. And then I go in and I honor that little girl, and I acknowledge that she wasn't allowed to express herself, and I hold her and I hug her and I tell her that I'm sorry, and I tell her that she's an adult now, that she does get to express herself, that her opinions do matter, that her voice does matter. And I literally imagine hugging little Melissa in these moments and bring that healing to her. And sometimes if it's bad enough, I'll even hug myself. So I had my phone here, but because I plugged in and if I can get this back up. If it's bad enough, I'll even do this to myself. Okay. So what this does is it provides comfort to yourself. And when you're triggered and you're feeling, and I even rock myself sometimes. So this is something that I did often in my second marriage when we were in the middle of conflict, because again, my brain in conflict wanted to scream and yell and name call and do all kinds of things and storm off and pack my bags. So rather than do that, I was comforting myself. I was hugging myself, and I was trying to bring my body out of that triggered state and back into reality. So I would rock and I would pat my shoulders. So the tools, there's different tools that you'll use over time. I'm to a phase now where I can just use the Ho'oponopono prayer, and I don't need to hug myself and pat myself. Sometimes I would just hug myself and rub my arms when I was, highly triggered. And it's important to go to therapy to learn these things so that you can use these tactics in whatever works for you. Just like everyone has different triggers and everyone has different traumas that will impact them. Something may bother one person and have no impact on another. There's all different kinds of tools that we can use. And when you go to therapy, you get to learn what these tools are for you. So for me, it started out with a lot of this, rocking back and forth, patting my shoulders, giving myself comfort, and helping my body to calm down from the triggered and traumatized state. Because what's happening when you're triggered and traumatized is it's not you, 35-year-old you, who is making the call. It is the tiny inner child you inside who first was trauma and triggered, and their feelings are coming out and they're running the show. And that's why my behavior would be that of a child is, I hate you, I'm running away. And that's what we do when we're triggered and traumatized and we haven't made peace or healing with that. So it's important to learn whatever tools you can that will help you in the moment. So you get triggered, you get traumatized, you have the awareness of this. It takes time for you to really catch yourself in the moment. A lot of times you'll only catch yourself afterward. You reflect afterward. You say, and you ask yourself, what tool could I have used in that moment if I have caught myself? I didn't catch myself early enough. I caught myself at the end. That's okay. It's part of the process. Again, humble yourself. Don't hold this high standard that just because you understand triggers and traumas, or you have a working knowledge of triggers and traumas, that you're immediately going to catch yourself when you're triggered and trauma. That's the whole point, is you're literally triggered. You're literally in a moment of trauma. And your brain has shut down its ability to think properly, okay? So you're not going to be able to catch yourself right away. For me, there was a long period of after reflection. So I would go triggered and trauma. I would build a case and story about how awful and mean that person was who brought up my feelings, or who triggered and traumatized me, whatever. And I would run away or do whatever angry, mean thing I had in my mind. And then afterward I go, oh my gosh, I went through all of these feelings and I had all this happen. And, what could I have done? What can I do next time? I didn't beat myself up for how I reacted. That's so important. When you're healing from years of abuse, when you're healing from years of trauma, when you're healing from lack of emotional regulation because our parents never taught us, give yourself some grace, give yourself some space, to learn and to grow from that. You can't hold yourself to this high bar, because you'll just beat yourself up and put yourself more down. So it's okay that you will not catch yourself when you're triggered or traumatized. But the constant reflection, okay, I was traumatized, or I was triggered. I was brought back to my trauma. Next time, I will try and catch myself. Next time, if this happens, I will say the Ho'oponopono. Next time, I can pat my shoulders. And you may or may not do it the next time, but it's the reflecting on it that helps. And eventually you begin to catch yourself, over time. And so just give yourself the grace and space to do that. So like I said, I'm able to catch myself right away, usually at these points, or I catch it, but I still have to do a tool or a tactic to help me through it, right? So like I said, when I wanted to scream and yell back, I wanted to name call, I wanted to put him down, I wanted to pack up my car and run away. All of these inclinations are automatic to me because it's what I saw, it's what I witnessed, it's what I'm programmed to do. And I had to separate myself from the situation. I had to say the Ho'oponopono prayer. I had to go on my walk so that I wouldn't do those inclinations, so that I wouldn't give in to those thought processes of wanting to maintain the conflict and create the conflict even more. So I'm not even fully healed, you know what I'm saying? Like we all have a journey. And so it's okay wherever you are on the spectrum. And the biggest thing is just implementing the awareness of where you're at, and then using whatever tools that you can available to you to help you emotionally regulate, such as the Ho'oponopono prayer, such as hugging yourself and rocking yourself and patting yourself. This was something I used early on. And I don't necessarily need to do this one a lot anymore. I'm able to just work on some breathing and saying the Ho'oponopono. There's no shame about whatever tool is necessary for you. Sometimes it's getting in a hot bath. Sometimes I'll get in a hot bath. I just have to separate. I need to get in a hot bath. I need to turn on a music. I need to do something to distract my thoughts from wanting to go wild. There's different triggers for me, kind of have different tools of what I'll use during that trigger. And this is why it's important to go to therapy, to learn these tools, to research them. I mean, even if you don't have a therapist, you can go to YouTube and just Google, what are tools to help me when I'm triggered? What are tools to help me when my trauma takes over? You can read books. There's all kinds of ways of learning this. But until we have an awareness that when we're feeling sad and in pain, almost every time there is a past trigger and a past trauma that is being highlighted, that wants to be seen and it wants to be felt, and there's an inner child you that is experiencing the pain all over again. And the first time you felt the pain, you probably had to suppress it. You probably had to squish it down, and it's just been hiding out in your body. And that's what a trigger or a trauma is that it pokes at it. It knocks on the door. It's like there's pain in your body of all the times your thoughts and opinions didn't matter. There's a pain in your body of all the times that a man screamed and yelled at you to be quiet. Like there's pain in your body from the times you weren't allowed to share, you weren't allowed to take up space, and nobody cared what you had to say. And when someone in my current life pokes at that, all that pain comes spewing out, and we generally target it towards the person who poked us instead of acknowledging that it's like my sister actually just shared this the other day. If you have a cup of coffee, someone bumps you and the coffee spilled out, it's the coffee didn't spill out because they bumped you, the coffee spilled out because there was coffee in the cup. Whatever is inside of us is going to spill out when someone bumps us. And it's not the other person's fault for what spills out. What spills out is what we're holding. And so we have to have an awareness of that. And until we gain an awareness of that, and until we acknowledge what's in there, we're going to continually find ourselves in situations we don't enjoy. We're going to continually find ourselves maybe in a toxic relationship, in a toxic work environment, always in conflict with people, always worried, always stressed out, always depressed. Whatever got programmed into us as children is what's inside of our bodies. And until we heal that and make peace with that, it's going to perpetually create the circumstances around us. And I've had a lot of people ask me, how did you do your healing? Or how do I stop these negative thoughts? Or how do I, move forward when I'm in a trauma? And a lot of people want to ask me like relationship questions. And, well, he did this and I did this and I think this and I think that. I'm like, none of that matters. What matters is that you were trauma, that you have a past trauma, that you have a past wound, that you have a past pain, and it's expressing itself via this relationship right now. And you either address that past pain or trauma, or you blame the person in front of you. Those are your choices. And most of us will just blame the person in front of us instead of going inward. So this is what I do. I repeat Ho'oponopono prayer. I do this, or do something. There's all kinds of tools. Those are just my main two go-to tools. And then I verbally process. So I talk it out. So I feel much, much, much better. I don't know what it will look like when he comes home. But I know now that I'm coming from a space of not being a triggered and traumatized, 8-year-old, which is pretty much how I felt today. Because 8-year-old me was not allowed to talk or express herself, or her opinion didn't matter, and she wasn't allowed to take up space. And that's what was really brought up in me when it happened between David and I. And now that I have done my Ho'oponopono prayer, I've acknowledged this pain. I've told little 8-year-old me that it's okay, that I love her, that I acknowledge all the times that she wasn't allowed to express herself, and that now she is, and she's safe now, and no one can tell her that she's not allowed to express herself anymore. And I've can heal that. I'm in a much better place to be able to move forward in my communication with David from this situation. And talking it out helps so much. Whatever that is for you. For some people, it's not talking out. For some it is. But I've learned this through therapy, and I've learned this through my healing journey. So I wanted to share real and raw with you what I do in the moment to catch myself when I'm in the middle of a trigger, when I'm in the middle of my trauma coming up, and how do I manage it, and how do I handle it. And this is emotional regulation, because I wasn't taught it. Extreme lack of emotional regulation is what I was taught. And as an adult, I wanted better for my relationships. I wanted better for my life. And it led me to therapy. It led me to healing. It led me to understanding trauma and the drama triangle. And it led me to these tools that I use. And I just wanted to be able to share those with you, real and raw in the moment. So I'm going to let you all go. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps. And I love you all so much, and I'll keep you updated. So have a good night. Bye.